Okay. Hello everyone. We're always so excited to do this. I'm sure you can always hear it from the sound of my voice. So on this episode of Let's Talk Naija, this is Cho, and of course with me is Corey. And today is another exciting episode. I mean, which episode is not exciting? Let's be real. We always learn ourselves, and we really hope that you learn as well. And like I always say, if you haven't listened to any of the previous episodes, please just take out a few minutes to listen and then share your thoughts and share with other people. So today, if you can see us, well, for those who eventually see us, Corey and I have some things on. I don't want to mention anything for no controversy here. But the episode has something to do with that, and it's on sports. This episode is going to be quite interactive, and we have someone who is exceptional, someone who knows what he's talking about on this episode, and would like him to introduce himself.
Hey everybody, my name is Olu. I run the round of applause for the audience. Hi everybody, I'm Olu. I run the Nigeria Football Weekly podcast where we talk about the Nigeria footballers, particularly the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and how our players perform around Europe and in general anything to do with the national team. I'm happy to be here, and yeah, let's get into it.
Great. Thank you so much for taking out time to be on this episode. Really hope that in everything that we say here, we all take something useful and better when it comes to sport knowledge. So, Corey, take us there.
I know we have specific questions we want to ask you, but I'm going to start off with a question based on your background. You have a Jesse behind you. For those who don't can't see, who is actually going to listen via the audio. For those on YouTube and other video channels, this will be great. So there's an Okocha Jesse behind you. So can you give us a backstory behind that Jesse?
To be honest, it's a bit of an illusion. So it's a poster, but as you know, if you're running a podcast, you want to have artifacts that showcase what you're talking about. And I don't know how many Nigerians would disagree, but the golden generation of the Nigerian football team was in the 90s. And I would argue that JJ Okocha is probably at least most well-known footballer globally, and a symbol of the times that we used to love, so to speak, with the national team. So I think it was very important to have the Okocha jersey there. And it's funny because on a day-to-day, everywhere I go, or if anyone ever sees this, they always recognize Nigeria and Gigi Okocha. So that was the idea behind having the Okocha. And then last year, I went to Naples to watch Osimhen's. The day Napoli won the title, I bought a ticket to be in the stadium to watch the celebrations. So I've never seen Italians love a black man like that before. Honestly, if everything you guys have heard, trust me, is 10 times bigger. Like everywhere in the whole city is Osimhen. So I bought the Osimhen picture in there, and then I'm an Arsenal fan growing up, so we have the Thierry Henry, and so we could get into that at another time. So yeah.
City fans should sit this one out. City fans, sit this one out.
Well,
Well,
Yes.
what is a perfect segue to the next question? We know about Ronaldinho saying that Okocha is actually one of the best players he has ever played with. So I want to ask, what do you think are the factors actually holding us, what we call Super Eagles, from being considered a world football power?
Great question. I mean, we could be here all day on just this one question. I think there are several factors we have to think or include when we think about the things holding the national team back. First of all, we have potential beyond the vast majority of nations in the world because we have two intangible factors that nobody else has. We have a very passionate population about football, which is even more than, I'll say, 98% of countries in the world. And secondly, we have a massive population. When you look at the history of teams that have won the World Cup, apart from Uruguay in 1930 and 1950, every country that's won the World Cup has a significant population. And that's for a reason, because you need to have a big pool of players, which Nigeria has. Now, are we utilizing this big pool as well as we can? I think the obvious answer is no. I would always come back to the NFF first. I think our organization is probably one of the poorest I've seen when you try to compare yourself as a giant of Africa. When we compare ourselves to the North African teams, Morocco, and their federations and the way they organize. What do I mean by this? Till today, we've heard that our national team manager has resigned. The NFF have not acknowledged this. We haven't seen any press release. We haven't seen any statements. We haven't seen any press conferences. Meanwhile, we're arguing about our star player having an outburst because of miscommunication because we don't have press conferences. Basic things that happen in any normal, sane country that claims that their national team is very important. So those are some of the things we see. We also have when I think about that situation, it is a lack of transparency and a lack of funds. We don't get the kind of communication or information we need to know about the NFF. If I ask everybody here, how does the NFF run? Can we say we know? But if you want to know how the English FA runs, you can find the material online. You can find it on the website. It's very easily accessible for us to know. So if from the top we don't have the right structures of information, then that's already a big problem. We had Amaju Pinnick as our NFF president for a while until 2 years ago when Ibrahim Gusau was appointed. Please correct me, guys. Just for transparency, I'm based in London. I did grow up in Nigeria, so I'm not a diaspora guy. Yes, I can be in both sides, but at least I know my stuff. And Ibrahim Gusau is from, I think he was the Zamfara FA president. Someone please tell me what the Zamfara FA have done for their former presidents to deserve to become the NFF president. So it's these little things like this. Why was he chosen over Sheyi Akinwumi or other candidates that we might have seen to be maybe more suitable for the job? We don't know. We failed to build on being Afcon finalists, which is something we've seen now, which is how 6 months or 5 months down the line from winning Afcon, we can be in this array. We don't do the basics right. I think those are the little things. When we even think about infrastructure, we don't have a world-class stadium in the whole of Nigeria. We're sending our players to go and play games in Uyo. When you think about Senegal, Morocco, or our peers in Africa, or even our peers in South America, even in Colombia, for example, every serious footballing nation has a world-class stadium in their most important commercial city or their capital. We're sending our boys to Uyo, they'll charter flights, they'll do all these kind of things that we're not sure what's going on. So that's a big factor. We also don't have a training base for our national team. Even Morocco have the Mohammed IV complex, where every Moroccan team, from the national team all the way down to under 17, has a base to train. They have facilities for coaches, and we don't have this. Sometimes we're not even sure where our players are going to train. I'm pretty sure last year I saw a clip of our players training on just a patch of grass somewhere near the Abuja Stadium, and this is 2023. So all these little things all play a part in that. We also have a real dearth of top class coaches, if we're being honest, and there's a lot of reasons for this. Anybody who's worth their salt that would go and do their badges and is of Nigerian descent, they know that they're more likely to have a better career away from the Nigerian national team or the NFF. So your Shea Janos, for example, who's now director of football somewhere in Switzerland. Also, I think a lack of engagement with the public, as I've said, even if it's good to see our host in his Nigeria kits, but let's be honest, how easily accessible is this for the average Nigerian? I live in London. I have the new Nigeria kits. Nobody in Nigeria has it. What are we talking about here? The Nigerian national team, the players can't even wear their names on the back of their kits unless it's AFCON or a World Cup. So even when they're negotiating contracts with Nike, I'm not sure what the hell they're asking Nike to do. So just all these basics, and then of course we can never remove the factor of the lack of the development of our local league. Nigerians love to talk about home-based players, but Nigeria's league is ranked 12th in Africa, number 12. There's not been a time since the 90s that Nigeria has been ranked 12th in Africa as a national team or lower. But our national league is the 12th best in Africa, 12. But yet they're telling me that we must pick home-based players. So all these things happen. We don't build on our laurels and the things we do well. And the last thing I would say in terms of a key factor holding Nigeria back, apart from transparency, is I like to call it the respect factor. Nigerians have this weird thing. I'm not saying we should lose our culture and the need to respect elders, but we don't have a good debate culture where people can transparently speak about things and have an honest debate about where things need to go. Which is why we still saw Ahmed Musa get his last 20 caps, let's be honest, were all slave caps. They'll call him up, he'll come and play the last 2 minutes when he doesn't have a club in Europe or he's playing 2 minutes. But everybody says, Ahmed Musa is the Nigeria captain because of the goals he scored for us 6 years ago and 10 years ago. Nigeria, we can think about the past there. It's so funny. So all these kind of factors. Meanwhile, you look at the Euros, England, Rashford did not play well. They said adios amigos. Sterling, adios amigos. But Nigeria disrespecting, which is why even if we even speak about Osimhen, they said that he disrespected the coach. But did the coach not disrespect him? So I find a lot of things really fascinating, but I'll just say those are some of the key points just to mention right now, which I think are holding back the national team. Because we can't say we don't have the talent. We can't say we don't have the natural intangibles, like I said, the passion for the national team and the population. But are we harnessing it the right way? I don't believe so. I believe we need to treat our national team like India treats their cricket team. It is the pride of the nation. It is the one thing that connects the whole country together. We saw during the Afcon when we beat South Africa how people even who didn't even watch football could get behind the nation and show their pride for the jersey and for the team. How do we harness these things and how do we put them in the best position forward to then progress? I don't believe we're doing a good job at all.
Wow, that's loaded. Very loaded answer for our situation. But let's stick to the talent pool. Now, we mentioned that we do have the talent, but let's talk about Nigeria's talent pool, comparing it to those who have actually won the World Cup and even those who have gone very far, like Morocco. What do you think is the major gap in ensuring that at least we can close the gap to be close to even winning it or even being considered as what we call a dark horse? We're not even considered a horse, we're just considered as participants. That's even if we qualify. But please let's hear it.
Great question. I think when we think about the previous winners of the World Cup, especially in the last three tournaments, Argentina in 2022, France 2018, Germany in 2014, we have to admit that these are what we'll call top tier nations footballing wise. So the talent pool is quite significant. I would say in any position, they have at least 3 or 4 players that could play in any position. Argentina is a bit of a unique situation because you could argue that right now their talent is not maybe as big as what they had in the 90s or the 2000s, but guess what? They have a settled team and they have a plan. In fact, you could argue right now Argentina play most like a club side out of every national team because they know, okay, Rodrigo De Paul is going to be here, Messi is going to be in the middle, we'll play Julian Alvarez or Lautaro Martinez, we have our 3 centre-backs. It is a settled squad. Now, I actually think Nigeria's talent pool is not that far away from the best talent pools in the world. I do think we have what I like to call the Johnny Bravo problem. We're big at the top. We have so many strikers. You can even argue Nigeria has the best talent of strikers in world football. When you compare it to, look at Brazil struggling with Richarlison wasn't even called up. They're playing Hendrick. France, Kolomwani, come on, he won't even start for Nigeria. Like Giroud, come on. So when you even think about Germany and the issues with Havertz and Fulkrug or Spain playing Morata, apart from England, you say Harry Kane, I'm not sure there's any other national team that could say they have the kind of talent we have in striker position, especially with Osimhen and Boniface as our 2 signature players. So that's the first thing I'd say. I think in Africa, we do have the best pool of talent of any national team. Yes, Senegal and Morocco are not that far behind us when we think about it. But when you look at the pool, we have over 50 players who you'd consider in our positions who play for good club sides in Europe or maybe in the stronger leagues in Africa. So we're not that far away. One thing I do think is our defense can get better, of course. When we look at the pool in general, we even have, for the first time in Nigeria, we can even say we have a good goalkeeping, a good depth of goalkeepers since Enyama. Because obviously, normally, when you perform in Afcon the way he did, you have to admit that he has the starting shirt. But then Maduka Okoye is the first Nigerian goalkeeper since Enyama to start for a top 5 club side in the top 5 leagues in Europe. So we have to admit, even though Nigerians don't like to watch football or watch club football, Maduka Okoye is doing what needs to be done. So when I look at every position right now, even centre back, we have a lot more talent than maybe even just 5 years ago. The only position I would say we're lacking is probably left back, where apart from Zedu Sanusi and Bruno Yemachi, I mean, when you drop down to Jamilu Collins, then you can see that drop off. And then maybe in the central attacking midfielder position, yes, we play will be there sometimes, but he also plays the central midfielder. We saw Fisayo Dele Bashiru come in and play as he came against South Africa and score a goal. And then Finidi dropped in the next game. I don't know why. Maybe he was injured. But that's the one position I would say that I was probably a bit hurt when Iberieze decided to play for England. Another unique factor we have when we compare ourselves to the Moroccans, Nigerians, we know there's 200 plus million of us, and we also have one of the most significant diasporas in the world. Nigerians will celebrate the diaspora whenever they have any accomplishment in any other sport except football. You see the NBA, they'll say, Nigeria's Giannis Antetokounmpo, baby. But when it comes to football, the national team messes up. They say, the foreign-based players don't understand what it means to wear the shirts. Oh, they're not truly Nigerian. All of a sudden, they start questioning their Nigerianness. And I find it so funny. Let me tell you something. When it comes to football, even above Morocco, I'm not sure there's a national team that stands to benefit from dual nationality more than Nigeria. Stop looking at it as a problem. It is a blessing. We saw Trustekong win Afcon player of the tournament. Before they were questioning his loyalty, all of a sudden they love Ekong. Oh, they love Lukman. Lukman even grew up here in London. He used to go to my church and redeem when he was young. All of a sudden, he scores in Afcon. They say, Lukman, the pride of Nigeria. So I find it so funny when you have these debates about, all of a sudden someone is not Nigerian enough. Like, get out of here. What are we talking about? In fact, right now, when we look at the pool of potential current dual nationals, from every position, whether it's goalkeeper, where you have a Noah Tubolu playing for Germany's under 21s, or left back Patrick Dogu playing in Serie A, but also for the Danish under 21 national team, or even a Tosiadara Bayo that's just signed for Chelsea, and we're still not sure why he's not playing for Nigeria yet. Or even in the middle of the park where we have Leslie Gochuku, Kai Chukwemeka, all the people Chelsea have been holding, or Madueke, who also at Chelsea. Jesus, they've packed all the players. So when you even think about the opportunities we have from our dual nationals to then boost the talent we have from our domestic league, because one of the things I'm happy about is our real superstars, Osimhen, Boniface, Ndidi, Iheanacho, they were all still born and raised in Nigeria. So we have that pool and that balance there. So I think squad-wise, we're the best in Africa, but we don't have that settled team yet, or we haven't progressed in terms of our settled team from Afcon in order to then develop and build on our laurels from Afcon. But squad-wise, I don't think we're that far away. But I think we need to get smarter about how we select players. It was good to see the NFF release the statement after our poor World Cup qualifier saying, we would go everywhere in the world and find all the best talent. But in reality, are they doing this? Jamal Musiala is playing for Germany. Do you know what Jogilo did to get this boy to play for Germany? Even though he could play for Germany, he could play for England, he could play for Nigeria. But the NFF think that they will send Iwobi to message one player, can you please tell Iberieze that he should play for Nigeria? And they think that's good enough. I'm sorry, but we cannot keep resting on our laurels that, if you're not ready to play for Nigeria, don't play for Nigeria. You must come with a plan. What is the plan? I saw the Tunisian FA release a 5-year plan for their FA 2 years ago. All of a sudden, some of their dual nationals are like, you know what? I see the structure. But Nigeria, all we're seeing is arguments. NFF. Let's scapegoat Iwobi. Let's do this. You must come to these players with a plan, which is why now we're seeing Iberieze sit down on the bench for England and be happy to play 2 minutes when he literally could have been sold a pitch to become the next JJ Okocha of Nigeria. But who spoke to it? This is someone that trained with the Nigerian national team in 2018 when he was in QPR, by the way. There's pictures. But what do we do? So I find it so interesting, and we must understand that we have a privilege where we have a talent pool both here and in diaspora, and we must harness them properly and not rest on our laurels. For Larry Balogun, if you see what the USA did to get him to play for the USA, Nigeria will say, we don't want to beg anybody. But a whole USA, if you see all the steps they took just to make this guy feel comfortable in the US, took him to NBA games, made sure he felt comfortable all around, brought the whole package to him of the superstar. So I think as time goes on, hopefully, as the NFF professionalizes or allows maybe some younger people in, we will get to a position where we're able to find the best both domestically and both internationally. Because we also have to admit that for the first time in a while, Nigeria is not even qualifying for under 17 World Cups. Even in the China Afcons, we're not even qualifying. But somehow it is the divine right for home-based players to play. You know, the one good thing we're lucky about Nigeria is we have so many players playing in Europe. Like, honestly, even doing my podcast, I didn't even realize just how many. So stop abusing these players and talking about them not knowing what it means to play for the national team. If they don't know what it means to play for the national team, that means we're not doing a good job of letting them know. There's nobody sitting down in Europe or anywhere in the world that does not understand the passion it means to play for Argentina or to play for Colombia. So how is it that from here we cannot influence players to understand what is happening about Nigeria? It is the only thing that brings our country together. But yet, if you go online and you want to educate a youngster on what the national team did in 2013 or the 90s, I urge you guys, go and check YouTube. There is no footage. If there's any footage, it looks terrible. But if you go online and try and check for Euro 2008, England versus, or England didn't qualify for that tournament, don't get me wrong. But the 2018 friendly we played with England, there's backstage camera, there's dressing room camera, there's highlights, there's extended highlights. You can buy the jerseys. All these things and all these factors that contribute to the metaverse of people understanding what it means. There's one documentary on Amazon Prime about the Nigerian national team, Super Eagles 96. I didn't even see the NFF tweet it or post it or figure out how to harness it. So we can't then complain that people don't understand what it means. But just to bring it back to the conversation, I think our pool is quite good, especially in attack. But unfortunately, the place where we are at the strongest at is where we only play one player. So we'll see how it goes. And I believe that we have the potential to get better. I'm not complaining about the talent pool at all. In fact, I would argue that right now our talent pool is the best we've had it since the days of JJ Okocha Kanu.
It's a moment of silence because taking it all in. But honestly, a lot of things that are so true have been said. Like it takes a Nigerian who is like really, really passionate and really concerned about where our system is as a whole to even know these things, like you said, to find the information online. And while you were talking, something came to mind. I'm like, okay, we're talking about the guys that are there now. Who are the guys that are even looking up to them? Who are the guys that are trying to even come up? It seems like these days you find most people trying to focus more on music and maybe other sports than to say, oh, I want to be like, let's say, Basi, for example, or I want to be like Musime. So it's actually quite worrisome. Um, and that leads me to my next question. So I just want you to maybe give us like three core things. So say we even start approaching these talents that are abroad, trying to bring them home to come and be with us, just putting more for the national team. What are three main things that maybe, let's start from the citizens, we need to do from a citizen's point of view? And then, of course, everybody can only advise NFF, not like we can do anything about it. But what are maybe three things that you would say as a start would help us get to where we are going?
That's a great question, Cho. I think when we think about citizens, I don't even like to put the onus on citizens. I still put it back on the NFF. How can the NFF engage the citizens? Think about how difficult it is for a Nigerian to watch a Nigeria match when it is not Afcon or the World Cup. It should not be that difficult. You know, even from London, the amount of times I've had to find one dodgy stream or just go God knows where just to watch the national team. It should not be that difficult. The second thing I'd say is you have to flood the country green. How do you bring back the love? Do not just assume that Nigerians will love the Nigerian national team. You have to connect the dots. Where are the jerseys? Where's the subsidized amounts for Nigerians to buy the jersey at a cheaper rate? Nigeria is the only African team that Nike sponsor. I want us to take that in for 1 minute. They didn't bother with anybody else for a reason. But yet, it is easier for James in Denmark to buy the Nigerian national shirts than for somebody in Kano or someone in Lagos. It makes no sense to me. So these are little things that you just do because whether you like it or not, it's a symbol of the country. We're very proud of our country and we want to get behind the team. But how do you bring back the love and the connection of the dots? When you watch a Nigerian match, the stadium is always half empty. No, but how many people do you see wearing the jerseys? It cannot be the case. And we cannot say that it's only the rich countries that can do this because I promise you guys, go and watch any South American nation playing, even the so-called poor ones, Venezuela, Peru, Bolivia, it is always full. The stadium is always full. They're all kitted out. So how is it that we keep sending our boys everywhere? Go to go to Abuja, the stadium is empty. You can't even bring that connection. They can't even watch the games. So I would start with how do we engage with Nike to make sure that we can flood the country green? Secondly, how can the NFF ensure that every single Nigerian match is accessible to the average Nigerian, both on local TV, terrestrial TV, or online? Because we need to also remember that the average Nigerian population, not everybody has access to internet. But how can we make sure that they're connected to the national team? You know? And then the third thing I'll do, because one of the things that gives me the biggest source of frustration, you can tell Nigerians are very social media savvy. The average Nigerian knows how to chop up content, make videos. But when you look at the Nigerian national team, the content is so poor. Like, it's literally a disgrace. And it does not take a rocket scientist to do these things. Yes, they could say it's a budgetary situation, but figure it out. So those are the ones I'll say for the citizens. And then when it comes to the NFF, I mean, we could be here all day, but they just need to professionalize. Treat yourselves like a private organization. Where are the facilities? The first thing first Nigeria needs to do is build a training base for the national team and all national teams. Where if Morocco can do it, there's no reason Nigeria cannot do it. There is no serious national team on earth or that Nigeria wants to compete with that does not have these facilities in place. 2 years ago, we saw Senegal inaugurate their new national stadium in Dakar. Algeria did the same 3 years ago. Every single team Nigeria considers a rival. We just watched Afcon in Cameroon. You could argue maybe only Ghana because they keep sending everybody to Kumasi rather than Accra. But there's a reason why Nigeria is the only giant of Africa in recent years that you can think about that has not hosted the Africa Cup of Nations in 24 years. It's for a reason. And can we host it anytime soon? I would say it's wishful thinking. So facilities, 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 facilities. Where's the training base and where's the world-class stadium? We cannot have our players be flying in for 6, 7, 8 hours from wherever they are in Africa, in Europe or wherever, and they have to go to Abuja or Lagos, then charter a plane to Uyo, then be going through bus or God knows what. It does not make any sense. You need facilities in your most important cities. I don't even mind if it's Abuja, but let's even remove Abuja for a second. When I was growing up, I went to the African Cup of Nations in 2000. My parents took me as a 7-year-old to the national stadium to watch Nigeria, Tunisia. Can you imagine what that did for me? In fact, that's probably the reason I'm where I'm at today now, and I'm so passionate about Nigerian football. But are we doing this for the younger generation? Where's the opportunities to connect to the national team? We're always celebrating their club achievements, but are we putting them in the best position to succeed for the national team? I would highly disagree. So that's where I would start with at first. And then we need that transparency from the NFF. We don't know what they're doing. We're clueless in anything they do. All we hear is they put out some random statements, or some journalists will say, NFF insider has briefed me about this. Where's the information? We don't even do simple things like press conferences. They announced the national team. Where's the press conference? We can't hear, why did you choose this player? Why did that happen? It's just the basics. I think Nigeria, we need to go back to basics and get the basics right because we already have the intangible factors in our favor. So hopefully that's where we'll start and we'll be able to move forward.
I think most Nigerians will say Omo. They will reply with an Omo, but yes, I do remember the African Nations Cup in 2000 and 2002. Yes, that's a lot. I think I would go over and ask about coaching and tactics. I think we all remember the infamous interview by Finidi George, but let's not go into that. I just let's go into what do you think? How significant is coaching and tactics or tactical expertise in making sure Nigeria is a world class country or world class playing
Guys,
team? Yeah.
Guys, you hit the nail on the head. It is the most important factor. When you have a bunch of talent, which we clearly have, I even saw Peter Mosimane talking about how talented Nigeria's squad is. We have such a talented group of individuals. We saw Pesero during Afcon for the first time in 3 years. Nigeria was able to show a semblance of a structure and a tactical plan. And what did it do for us? It took us all the way to the final, where all of a sudden the same tactics let us down. But we understand the reasons for that. In fact, I think this is the biggest problem with Nigeria right now. Even moving from Pesero Ball to Finidi, who was his so-called assistant, did we still see the same tactical structures from Pesero implemented in Finidi? I mean, when Finidi is going around saying, oh, formation is not important. I mean, you'd expect, if a fan said that, we'll literally laugh them off. But we keep trying to say, Finidi played for Ajax, he played for Betis, played for Ipswich Town. But being a football player does not make you a great coach. There's a reason why so many football players do not become coaches. And a lot of the best players are not necessarily good coaches. Yes, you have the Zidans and the Ancelottis who buck the trends and the Peps of the world. But a lot of great footballers are horrible managers for a reason. And we see it every day. Until we get our tactical structure back together, Nigeria, we know we have a physical advantage over a lot of teams. But the average African team now is also physically strong. So how can you tactically be better than your opponents? You know, when you look at a team like Morocco or even Egypt now back with their settled team, you can see the structure of the team in place. Salah will play with another striker up top. They'll be very defensively compact. And at the very least, you can see certain defensive principles maybe in set pieces. I'll be honest with you, after AFCON, everything vanished. Poof. I don't know what Finidi was doing as the assistant, but I mean, if we even talk about the last World Cup qualifiers we played, when you watch the goals we conceded to Benin Republic, you have to admit that that's just tactical naivety. So I really think there's a two-pronged issue. We need a really strong manager, and we need a manager that can avoid interference from the NFF. It breaks my heart that we always have to come back to saying we need a foreign coach. Because what the hell is a foreign coach? Nigerians were very proud people. We go everywhere in the world and we thrive, no matter the country. But for some reason, when it comes to our football, because of, I don't know if it is the way people disrespect their fellow Nigerians in Nigeria, or if somebody is a Nigerian, a domestic Nigerian and a coach, they just know that the NFF will be able to trample over them or not necessarily respect their authority. But there's this weird reverence Nigerians have for the white man. It's come all the way from colonial times till today. Oh, when I go to Nigeria, if I speak in an English accent, they hear that, oh, you're a dual national. I'm a London. We have this weird thing. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing wrong with it. But when it seeps into the way we think and the way we operate our systems, that's when I have a problem. Our music did not blow globally until we doubled down on it being Nigerian. When we're trying to appease the Oibos and make Afro beats that sounded Oiboish, even the Oibos were like, nah, turn that shit off. But the moment we said no, soccer, you will hear this pigeon. Even the Oibos are like, oh, this is new, this is unique to you. So I don't know why when it comes to our football, we still have to go back and forth with this weird thing where unless it's a white or foreign coach, we know that the NFF or maybe the players might not necessarily respect the authority. So it really pains me to say, but we need a foreign coach again. Because also, Finidi had this one chance for our people. And look how he blew it. He said, tactics don't matter. Then the NFF, to look at the kind of things that's said by the NFF, they sent him on a media tour of all the media houses in Nigeria. But then when he announced his squad, they didn't think, oh, this is part of a media tour. Maybe he should do a press conference to talk about his squad selection and his plans for the national team for a World Cup qualifier. And I just don't know if it's that they're brain dead, excuse my French, or they just don't care. Because all these little things sound so simple and we're here fighting. Then all of a sudden they give Finidi George a technical team of maybe 4 or 5 members. Then after the 2 losses, they say the NFF revolves to bring in a technical advisor and beef up the team. So you didn't think he needed the stuff? You didn't think he needed proper stuff before? You know? So all these little things, like when you even see the goals you considered to Benin Republic, you can tell they didn't practice set pieces. It was very clear. But when you watch Pesero's team in the Afcon, you can tell they definitely practice set pieces. Nigeria did not concede any goal for what, 5 games? After we conceded our first goal against Equatorial Guinea, until South Africa scored that penalty from VAR in the semi-final, we didn't concede 1 goal. You can see the tactical plan. And now we still can't see it. And no matter how good you are, look at the Argentina example I said. There was a period in time where Argentina had Batistuta, Caniggia, Ortega. Like, you just be reeling off the names. Crespo, Tevez. But guess what? They won the World Cup when they had Julian Alvarez. Just now I'm trying to say, because there's a tactical plan. All of a sudden, their coach was able to bring a system and say, yes, this is going to go through Messi, but here's how every other part of the pitch is going to be strong. And we're going to make sure that we have defensive discipline, and these are attacking principles. When I watched Nigeria play against Benin Republic, you could tell Finidi instructed them to play route one football. He took off Iwobi, the one player that joins the defense to the attack and to pass the ball, and brought on Onuachu. He wasn't even smart enough to tell Onuachu and Boniface to stay in different sections of the pitch. And he just told the defenders to lump the ball up. And all of a sudden, our strikers are literally in crossfires. It is so disrespectful to the national team. And then you claim we should respect the same Finidi. But if Finidi does not respect the job, then who are you? England, even if David Beckham became national team manager, let me tell you, they will abuse him if he messes up. You do not earn the right to be respected just because of what you did in your past. We respect what you did there. God bless you. You were important for us. We put you in the corner. But don't come and be messing with the one thing that brings Nigeria joy. And then all of a sudden, you're interviewing you and you're saying, when we created I think we're the better side. We prove. It's the World Cup. We missed the last World Cup. We're literally about to miss another World Cup, but everybody's smiling here. And this is our best generation of players in a long time. So honestly, just to cut everything short, because I know I ramble and I can talk about this, we need expert coaching and we need no NFF interference. When I looked at that national squad for the last World Cup qualifier, and they called up 5 strikers when they will play one, and they called up, I think it was 3 center backs initially. Then all of a sudden, someone will withdraw from the squad. So the NFF did not already consult these players 2-3 weeks before their clubs to know their injury status. It's either they're naive or someone's not thinking properly. And then you're giving all these like token caps to MPFL players to come and play. But they're not ready. You can't come and bring in someone who plays in Tanzania and tell us that that's the best we've got. And you put him in the middle to play as a right back, even though he's a centre back. And you see him struggle the entire match. And then they bring on one player that's the pride of the NBFL. They say it's the Trent Alexander-Arnold. My friend, if you bring a player that is dominating the Premier League under 21 leagues and put him in the Premier League, you will see that the difference is very, very clear. It's all well and good getting 10 assists when your opponent is Remo Stars or Enugu International Rangers compared to the national. No, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. When I was growing up, I watched Enyimba win the CAF Champions League twice. Nobody complained when any of those players were put into the national team. But number 12, not from the 6, not number 9, not number 10, number 12 in Africa. It just don't make no sense to me. So very, 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 very important. And we need to learn to play to our strengths. Our strength is in the attack, and we now have a solid defense. How do we decide if you're going to play on counter-attack or if you're going to be a build-up play team and harness your strengths? And hopefully, we'll see where it goes. Look at the Euros we're watching right now. Look at Austria. Look at Ralf Rangnick. All of a sudden, they said, Ralf Rangnick is rubbish. All of a sudden, now Austria are dark horses to win the Euros. It's not by magic. Tactical nuance would always come through. You would always see a plan. Always. And unfortunately, we're not seeing it right now. And to be honest with you, that's my biggest worry. Because we all know our potential. And I'm sorry, in that World Cup group Nigeria has, it is a disgrace that we're not top of the group with 4 wins from 4 games. They gave you Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Rwanda. Come on. Benin Republic. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. It will make my head hurt again. But the future will get better in Jesus' name.
Quite interesting. Quite interesting. Corey, I know you have a question. I can see it. Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to leave it to you to ask. I think Olu has
Okay,
done enough
I have two.
justice about. If we give him the time, he could probably get carry a gun and go into NFL and spray everyone. But I think he's trying as much as possible to contain himself because of he feels that this might be 21 plus episode.
Let's just say I'm grateful we don't have any more Nigeria games till September. And we could take a break for just
I have two trick questions for you. Let me take the first one. On a lighter note, then I'll now take the seemingly more serious one. So decide now, or let us know now. Ronaldo or Messi?
ooh, okay,
Yeah.
controversial. To be honest, I know I said I'm an Arsenal fan. I've always been a Ronaldo guy. I have to admit, I've always loved Ronaldo. In fact, as an Arsenal fan, because of the things Messi has done to us in the past, and also for Nigeria, I always dislike Messi. But after he won that World Cup, I said there's no debate anymore. Like Ronaldo, I'm a Ronaldo guy, but Messi is the guy. Like I can't even take away from him. Like
We're not recording again.
once he,
We're not recording again.
I only heard the
but
first
if
part.
you, but who do I have in my heart? I'm a Ronaldo guy to the core, 100%. I think Ronaldo is the most disrespected player in football, even with all he has accomplished. But yeah, I'm a Ronaldo guy for sure.
Okay, okay. You've heard it. I mean, some of us here are excited. I won't mention who, but so the second one, which is like our final question, and is more like looking forward. Let's do a scenario. Say NFF calls you now and like we see how passionate you are. We want you to come into the team. What are the things you would do first? If NFF calls you now and say, okay, you know what, come on board, come and help us fix some of these issues that we have.
First of all, they need the right coach. I think that is paramount. No amount of advice or help we give them can ever account for the deficiency of having a bad coach. It is still the most important role in football, apart from the players. Especially when you're dealing with a national team where the players generally have 4 or 5 days in camp before they prosecute a game. This is not a club side where you have all day, every day, all summer. We need the right coach. When I saw the Renard rumors, I knew it was a lie, oh, but I got excited for 2 minutes just because we know the value of a good coach, but we know NFF cannot pay him. So the moment they even said that it's not happening, even if we thought they could pay him, where are the NFF sponsors? We don't even see it on their training jersey, so we don't even know what they're doing there. So first of all, coach, who's the coach? Secondly, I would I would find a way to bring back the cultural aspect of trying to just explain to everybody again what it means to play for Nigeria. Whether it is through documentaries that already exist or the Super Eagles 96 documentary, but you need the players to, yes, we know they understand already, but how do we bring everybody together to really understand just how passionate the average Nigerian is about the national team? In Britain, every time a player plays for England, they give him a cap. Every single time he plays, he has that souvenir to hold forever. They will tell you you are the 1,250th person to play for England. Now, even if you say they are colonizer, will you not feel special if someone does that for you? Or just tells you, oh my God, let's bring in these psychologists to really explain to you what it means to play for the England national team. And meanwhile, Nigeria, our culture is richer. I've lived here half my life. I was even born here, so I think I'm qualified to even speak on both. Nigeria, we have all these amazing things with our culture, whether it's music, tribe, food, all of this. And we can't find ways to like bring this back and harness it into the national team. When a player plays, I don't want to use a filler, for example, but there are things we can do to show these players that look, you'll play for the national team and we understand what it means. You represent the most populous black nation in the entire world. I know in Nigeria, people worry about tribalism, but when you live abroad, you realize the other hand is nonsense. I'm sorry. You see the average Nigerian, you even spot him well, safe, regardless of where he's from. So how do we highlight these things to both our players in Nigeria and the diaspora to show them what it means? Just watching the Super Eagles 96 documentary, if you see the pride that was beaming in my heart, because for once they spoke about what it meant, how the national team helped during the Abacha time, Keswariwa got killed, all these kind of things. It is by far the most important, non-important thing in the world. And it is the most important, non-important thing to Nigeria. We don't even have anything that the whole country can agree on. At least in England, the whole country can agree that they like going to the pub and they like beer. There's parts of Nigeria, they will tell you that beer is haram or whatever. My point is the Super Eagles is the only thing that brings together these 200 million plus his diaspora in a way that nothing else can. How do we harness it properly? Whether that is through the media. Stop giving me these basic edited in 10-minute videos. Oh, you bring Iwobi to the team. You say, Iwobi, what's your favorite food? Who's your favorite artist? Like, think bigger. Like, Jesus Christ, it's so poor. Honestly, it makes me so sad. So I would start there. Number 3, I would go back and speak to Nike. Look, you signed a deal with us to be on your one national team in Africa. We appreciate it. We know you're here to make money. And let me tell you, Nike are making so much money off Nigeria. We're even a tier 1 national team for them. They release bucket hats, merch, ponchos. They'll just put NFF badge on it. Guess what? It's selling out everywhere in the world. But yet, you cannot engage Nike to provide kits in a timely manner for the national team. Our players will never have their names on the back of their kits unless it's a Afcon or World Cup. It's not good enough. How is it that I saw yesterday that Pato Rankin built a 5-a-side pitch in Ebutemeta? You cannot go to Nike and say, Nike, as part of our agreement, here's the community engagement we would like from you. Can you build an NFF Nike pitch in all 36 states of Nigeria and put the badge in there? When Nigeria was playing, where was the Nike advert to show the Nigeria jersey and what it means? Right now, the Euros are going on. Everywhere I look, you see Saka's face, Foden's face, all sorts of ads. There's a reason why marketing is important. You cannot take these things for granted. So I would start there. And then finally, I would change the approach because there's this weird thing that always comes around home base. Players don't like the national team. Even Finidi George, when he failed, what's the first thing he tried to do? Throw the players under the bus. The players are our assets, not the problem. You must give them everything they need to succeed. If these players decided to play for England or France, they are staying in Clairefontaine, they are staying in St. George's Park, in 5-star hotels. They are not wanting for anything. And mind you, a national team is not even the primary employer of players. So I don't even understand how we cannot show our best foot forward and just say, look, this is the pride and joy of our country. How do we give them the best facilities and need things they need? It's even in Nigeria that players still have to share rooms. In these European players, they're not sharing rooms. NFF will tell you they're broke. So I'm sorry, but these little things, how do you do everything outside of the pitch that could make the players' lives as easy and as seamless as possible to allow them focus and perform for the national team? So those are the 2 things I'll do. And then the third one or final one is, I had to say it again, this stadium. It is really great. Even thinking about it is annoying me again. Stadium and training base. Training base. For Christ's sake, if the NFF and the government want to continue stealing and siphoning money for their own benefit, no problem. Put some of that money away. Go and build this stadium. Senegal don't have 2 heads. Cameroon don't have 2 heads. If these countries beside us can build world-class stadiums, let's even start with the stadium before we even talk about the training base. Then start with the training base, and then from there we'll see where we can take it. So those are the first things I would say. But there's so much work to be done. I can't lie to you. I don't know where to start. In fact,
Thank you
this is
so
well.
much. We really, really hope this goes as far as possible. And then NFF really takes this feedback. Corey, would you like to sign us off on this episode?
Awesome. Yes. So think it's right to just give a round of applause to our guest today. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for making this awesome.
Round of applause to Olu. We really, really appreciate you taking out time
Thanks for having me,
to share.
guys.
It was a really, really great conversation. I always like to say what's more important is to listen, take the feedback, take important information from each podcast, and then also please share to get the right person, the right authority, and of course follow us for more information. Thank you so much.